Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and today I'm going to be telling you all about the classic books that I have accumulated recently. Now, I did a classics haul not too long ago and I wasn't anticipating doing another one quite so soon after that, but I have managed to get my hands on quite a few more Penguin English Library books. You may have seen that I did a full video recently where I showed off my entire Penguin English Library collection and spoke about my relationship with these books, and I also got 5 new books to this collection sent to me by Penguin, which I'm really appreciative of. They've recently released 20 new additions to the Penguin English Library set of books, and they very kindly sent me 5 of them, and I'm going to go through those ones really quickly because I spoke about them in detail in my Penguin English Library video, which I will leave linked down below for you to check out if you haven't already. But those books were To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf, The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald, Ghost Stories by M.R. James, 1984 by George Orwell, and The Beetle by Richard Marsh. The rest of these books are all second-hand and I got them on a book shopping trip that I took to Chapters in Dublin, which is one of my favourite bookshops in the whole world. I unhauled quite a lot of books recently, so I sold them onto Chapters and they gave me some store credit. And I think because of that, I only had to put about €6, I think it was either €6 or €8 towards getting all of these books. The staff in Chapters are always super helpful, and one bookseller in particular was amazing. She was doing some tidying up around the second-hand classics section, and she asked if there was anything I was particularly looking for, and I spoke about the fact that I collect these books, and we sort of had this big scavenger hunt as a team to try and find as many of them as I could. I was only expecting to maybe find 2 or 3, but we actually found 9. There were actually more of the Penguin English Library books, but they were ones that I already had. And the first book I'm going to talk about from that shopping trip is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. Now, not to be confused with the Matthew Lewis who plays Neville in the Harry Potter films, but I didn't know too much about this book when I picked it up, but apparently it is a work of gothic horror. Matthew Lewis wrote it when he was only 19, so that's super impressive. I believe this is about a monk who is torn between his spiritual vow and his desire for sexual pleasure. I think there's a lot of violence and bloodshed and also sexual violence in this book as well, and I believe it is one of those classics that was met with a lot of scandal on first publication. The next book I picked up was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I feel like this is one of those books that I don't need to describe a whole lot because I think most people know quite a bit about Jane Eyre. This is one that I've already read. I read it in my first year of university, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, I don't love Jane Eyre, which is surprising to a lot of people because Jane Eyre is about this really defiant, intelligent young woman who refuses to be boxed into what society expects of her. It has this reputation of being this beautiful love story, but it's actually so much more than that. This book is about a young woman who had quite a strange childhood and goes on to become a governess, and it's about the relationship that she forms with the father of the children that she's taking care of, and it's about her journey towards emotional and financial independence. It sounds like something I would love, but I'm a little bit not fussed about Jane Eyre. I don't know if it's maybe Charlotte Bronte's writing style that I don't necessarily get on with, but I may find out if that is the case by reading Villette, also by Charlotte Bronte. Now, I'm so glad that I found this book because it was such a high priority for me to add to my collection of Penguin English Library books. Just look how beautiful this cover is. This book is also about a governess, and it is known as being Charlotte's most autobiographical novel based on her own experiences in Brussels. It is a powerful study of unrequited love. It is about a protagonist named Lucy Snow, I believe. Yeah, Lucy Snow, who doesn't have many friends or family, and she moves away from England. She moves to the town of Villette. She works in a girls' boarding school and has a lot of issues there with unruly pupils, but also her romantic feelings towards 2 different men. The next book I'm going to tell you about is one that I also read in my first year of university, and that is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. I did an exam essay on this book, and I think I would really like to revisit this book because I think the pressures of studying it stopped me from enjoying it as much as I could. This novel is about a protagonist called Margaret Hale, who moves from the countryside in the south of England to the industrial north of England. Here she develops a turbulent relationship with the owner of a local mill named John Thornton, and she also develops this really powerful sense of social justice. It's a book about class, and it's a book about the class struggles within one industrial town, but also the large class differences between the south and the north of England in Victorian times, and those class divides still exist to a certain extent today. It's a really great book, and as I said, I would really like to revisit this one day. So next up is the book that I'm probably most excited about. I was so ecstatic when I spotted this one on the shelf, and that is Daniel Deronda by George Eliot. Now, as you may know, the Penguin English Library books that were released in 2012 have since gone out of print, and some of the books are more difficult to get your hands on than others, and I would say Daniel Deronda, it's not one of the most difficult ones to find, but it's definitely a bit of a challenge, so I was so excited to find this one. George Eliot is one of my favourite Victorian authors. I have read 2 of George Eliot's novels before, and I'm really excited to try out this chunky one and see if I enjoy it just as much. Now, this book follows 2 characters. One of these characters is, of course, Daniel Deronda, and the other is a character named Gwendolen. Now, these 2 characters meet when Gwendolen is at a roulette table and she's about to throw away a small fortune. Their lives become intertwined and transformed by suffering and misfortune, but this book is also about Daniel Deronda's obsession with a Jewish singer. I know this book is really well known for its depiction of the Jewish experience in Britain at the time, but I don't know to what extent it's an accurate depiction, so I'm really looking forward to diving into this one and finding out. Next up, I have a couple of Dickens books, the first of which is A Christmas Carol. This was another one that was really high up my priorities of books I wanted to collect in the Penguin English Library editions. This is one that I've already read before. It's a really well-known story, and it has really shaped how we think about Christmas, at least in this part of the world. It is about a solitary man named Ebenezer Scrooge who is taught about the spirit of Christmas by 3 ghostly figures who visit him. And I also have A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. This is a historical drama that also has a huge amount of personal tragedy. It depicts a revolutionary Paris, but also a London where the people are starving. It's about an exiled French aristocrat and a dissolute English lawyer who are both redeemed and condemned for their love of the same woman. Penultimately, I have The Portrait of the Lady by Henry James. I have read a little bit of Henry James before, and I quite enjoyed his writing. This book is about Isabel Archer, who is a beautiful and wealthy American. She travels to Europe with her aunt, where she is expected to find a man to marry, but she's kind of just enjoying her money. And all of her suitors seem to have different motives for wanting to marry her. This one sounds like it's really up my street. And finally, I have Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. Now, this is a really slim one, so I should have no excuse to avoid getting to it soon. This tells the story of a sailor and his entanglement in the horrors of colonialism in Africa. This is sort of known as Conrad's masterpiece, and it shows man's capacity for evil. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like Heart of Darkness is one of those books where if someone says it's one of their favourite books, I instantly just don't trust them as a person. I don't know why this is, but this is one that I have been super curious about for a long time, and as I said, it's quite slim, so I'm looking forward to seeing what I think about it. That is it. They are all the books that I'm telling you about today. Do let me know down below if you've read any of these and what you thought of them. All of the books will be linked down below if you want to check them out, and I highly recommend you do. Also, if you follow those links and then make any purchases, I will receive a very small commission from the book depository at no extra cost to you. So if you fancy buying some books, help a girl out. Anyways, that's all I'm going to talk about today. I hope you're doing well, and I will talk to you in my next video.